How's it going, guys? Marty here, and today I want to talk about unpopular anime opinions. I recently took to Reddit and posted on Twitter asking for unpopular opinions on anime, and boy did I get some spicy feedback from them. Let's just remember that, yes, these opinions are probably unpopular by the vast majority of people, but no opinion is a wrong opinion. Opinions are kind of like arseholes, everyone's got one. The first unpopular opinion I have here is that dubs are good. Yeah, I'd say this is maybe an unpopular opinion among a certain group of people in the anime community. But yeah, honestly, some dubs are good. Personally, I watch subs, that's just me, nothing against people who watch dubs. I have watched a couple of dubs, and some of them I thought were great. I thought the dub for High Rise Invasion is actually kind of good. I thought the dub for Kill la Kill is quite good, actually. So not all dubs are bad. I watched the Demon Slayer Mugen Train film as a dub because I went with a few friends who watched it in dub, and I said, yeah, sure, whatever. And yeah, they're not bad, you know. There's nothing wrong with anime being translated into native languages if it's easy for people to watch, because at the end of the day, it's a show, it's there for us to enjoy. And if having it dubbed in your own language makes it easier and more relaxing for you to enjoy it, well then, I don't see a problem with that. Next one comes from a fellow YouTuber. I would just like to plug their channel real quickly. If you're really into car fight content, car fight Vanguard, anything like that, really check out Outer Orange's YouTube, her Twitch, her Twitter. She does fantastic content. Recently hit 1,000 subscribers, absolutely smashing it over with the Vanguard content. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check it out. But Orange's unpopular opinion is that Sword Art Online is a tad overrated, which I can't disagree. I don't hate Sword Art Online. A lot of people in the anime community really hate Sword Art Online. For me, it was fine. I've only watched the first season. There's definitely some parts I didn't like, but you know. And she says in a tweet also, you just got to remember this kind of defined a generation and brought in a lot of anime watchers during, what, 2010 was it when Sword Art first aired? How I like to see it is that there was two major points of a big influx of anime watchers, and that was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where things like Dragon Ball, Naruto and One Piece were getting dubbed in the West. That really brought a load of people over, and then the next one was 2010 with Sword Art Online, hugely popular. And I think yeah, it's probably overrated because the people who watched it probably watched it back in 2010. I think honestly, if I was around in 2010 watching anime, which I wasn't, I only got into anime about 2.5 years ago, you know, I'm sure I'd hold a bit of bias towards this, and I'm sure by 2010 standards it was a really good anime, and I think it was the first of its kind. Like, there was isekais before it, but I think it was the first like majorly popular isekai, and since then, you know, the market is just absolutely flooded with isekai anime at the moment. You can't get away from it. But Sword Art was kind of the first really popular one, I think. So yeah, it definitely defined a generation. Tad overrated, yeah, just because I think the people who still watch it really hold it in high regard, and the people who don't like it really do hate on it. So I'd say it's a bit of a middle ground. I have heard that the newer seasons, Alicization I think it's called, is actually quite good, so maybe I should get back into it and watch it and judge for myself. The next spicy opinion I've got, and boy is it a spicy one, is that Studio Trigger is bad and it makes bland and unoriginal content. I can't really agree with this one personally. I'm a big Studio Trigger fan. I can kind of see if you're taking something like maybe Darling in the Franxx, it's just a lot of people see it as a rip-off of Ava. The first 2 episodes definitely were. I think later on it does become into its own. But you can't really tell me that things like Little Witch Academia, Promare and Kill la Kill are unoriginal and not interested. And, you know, Studio Trigger itself has a really unique art style that, you know, just when you see that certain art style, you're like, this is definitely Studio Trigger. It's kind of like when you see a Ghibli film or you see JoJo or something like that. They're very distinct, and, you know, it draws people in. So yeah, personally can't agree with this one. I really do like Studio Trigger. I have mentioned before in a video of mine, Studio Trigger is probably my favourite studio. So to say that they're bad and unoriginal, you know, it's opinion. Maybe that anime is not for everyone. For me, I really like it. The next one really hits hard home for me is that JoJo is not good. I think JoJo is a very polarising series. I think because it is so unique and it's not quite like anything at all, you know, I think it can put a lot of people off, and I think especially Part 1 Phantom Blood being the introduction to the series for a lot of people, it's not a hard watch, but you know, you kind of see all the memes and the preconceptions of all these fancy poses and all these cheesy one-liners and all this crazy, all these maybe bizarre adventures that they go on is not really prevalent in Part 1. and part 1 can be seen as a little boring, but at the same time it's very, very short, so if you can get over that, I think honestly part 2 onwards, it's really, really good anime. And then, you know, if we're talking about the manga as well, part 6 hasn't been animated yet at this point, but it has been announced for December, I think. Part 6 and 7 and part 8, people absolutely love that. You know, for me, I love part 4, I love part 5, part 3 is good in places, part 2 is really good story. Yeah, like I say, I think JoJo is one of those things. It's a bit like Marmite, you either love it or you hate it. You know, I'm not going to say, you know, your opinion's wrong for not liking JoJo, it is very polarising, but personally for me, I love JoJo, it's one of my favourite series. I don't like Kanna from Dragon Maid. Get out. Ghibli films are awful and characters are forgettable. No, I think, honestly, I've got to disagree with you. I think maybe a lot of Ghibli films are extremely overhyped. If you'd said that, then maybe I'd agree with you, but to say that their characters are forgettable, I mean, I don't think a day goes by where I can't go on Instagram and people aren't posting about Sophie and Howl, or Princess Mononoke, or No Face, or Ponyo, or, you know, some of these characters are, you know, especially Kiki, especially around Halloween, which is coming up at the time of recording this video. You know, a lot of these Ghibli characters are honestly just as iconic as a lot of Disney characters, especially to Eastern viewers, you know, people who grew up on anime, unlike us in the West. I think, even for people in the West, I think a lot of Ghibli characters are so recognisable and so, you know, they're honestly just as popular as Disney characters, in my personal opinion anyway. To say that their characters are forgettable, I can't agree with it personally. You know, maybe to you, if you don't like Ghibli films, fair enough, whatever. But I think the vast majority of people would agree that their characters aren't forgettable. I refuse to watch anime pre-mid 2000 because they look like shit. Yeah, again, I personally got to disagree. Don't get me wrong, I think there is a lot of older anime that does not look great. You know, I'm not going to give an example, as you probably know, if you know. But also, I think, you know, anything pre-mid 2000s, honestly, I personally love the art style of a lot of things like Evangelion, Sailor Moon, Cowboy Bebop, classical Ghibli films, even Dragon Ball. And I'm not even a massive Dragon Ball fan, I've not even watched a lot of Dragon Ball, but I still think it looks really good, you know. I kind of like that old aesthetic. I think you could even put things like Inuyasha in there. I know they said pre-mid 2000s, I think Inuyasha was like 2001, 2002, so yeah, we're getting close to that divide, what they were talking about. But I think some of this like classic looking anime, just, I love that art style, especially things like Sailor Moon. I think it looks better than even what we've got in Crystal. Personal opinions, if you think it looks shit, you think it looks shit. I'm not going to disagree with you, to be honest. On the flip side of that, I think a lot of modern anime, a lot of it does look really, really, really pretty, especially things like I'm watching recently, like Tacto P Destiny. Beautiful, beautiful anime they are. But I think there is a lot of crap as well, to pinpoint any out, but the Berserk redo we had not that many years ago looks quite shit. And the last one we have here is just simply don't watch seasonal anime. There was more to this, I didn't put it in, but I'll just give you the brief of it. It was just basically that 99% of new anime is just trash, and it's just dished out really quickly, and we should just all watch older anime. You're not going to find your favourite anime from new anime. Your favourite anime's already been made because there's been 30 years of anime been made. Personally, got to disagree with this. Don't get me wrong, I think maybe people should watch the classics before they start getting into new anime. I think you can balance that quite easily, you know. If people, new anime watchers, want to come in and watch things like My Hero Academia and Attack on Titan, yeah, I get that, because, you know, they're very popular shows, and, you know, most people come into things because things have been hyped online. I mean, even for me, I got into anime because Netflix put Evangelion on Netflix. I didn't know what the hell it was, but I saw a lot of hype on Instagram, Twitter, things like that, saying how good it was, and that's actually how I got into anime. People shouldn't stick with just seasonal anime. They should definitely make sure they, you know, tick off some of the classics. I think that's even just not with anime, I think that's even with movies as well. If people just watch, you know, current new movies and don't watch any of the old classics like Green Mile, American Psycho, the classic films and classic anime, things like, if you're not watching, you should definitely at least give things like Steins Gate a go, Death Note, you know, even Sword Art Online, as much as people don't like it. I think it is like a quintessential anime that I think all new viewers should watch. To say that you shouldn't watch new anime, I think is wrong, because things like Tacto P Destiny, Platinum End this season have really, I can already see potential for them being future classics already, and they're only like 4 episodes in. They did go on to say that, you know, it's not to say that new anime can't be future classics or anything like that, but you should wait. I think this is also wrong just purely because if people didn't watch new seasonal anime, the industry would just crumble. If we just kept watching 20-year-old anime, you know, we just stuck watching things like Naruto and Dragon Ball and One Piece forever and ever and ever and just rejected everything new, well then the anime industry would cease to exist because we're not consuming their new products. As much as nostalgia filled and we love our old anime and we definitely have our favourites, you do kind of need to watch new anime. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of trash out there, but there's also a lot of trash in the past. You can't just say all old anime is good and all new anime is trash. It's just simply not true. Anyway, I thank you guys for watching so much. If you did like this video, leave a like, leave a comment on your unpopular opinions, and maybe I'll do a part 2 follow-up to this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.